Hi everyone, it's Joy here with another Lawn Fawn video. For today's card, I made a 5x7 scene card using the new You Autumn Know and the new Pumpkin House die. So I started by stamping a ton of images, and the images that I am using are from the You Autumn Know and the Happy Harvest stamp set. The Happy Harvest is an older stamp set. The You Autumn Know is just from this new release. So I'm going to be using my Copic markers. I did stamp this with Lawn Fawn's jet black ink. It is Copic friendly on their white cardstock. And of course I'm going to be using a ton of fall colors. I've got reds and yellows, greens, and oranges. And so I'm just going to color. I'm not going to show all of these images coloring on this video because that would take a long time. So I'm just going to show you the different images that I'm going to be coloring. Now, the images that I'm using from the You Autumn Know are the leaves. There's a ton of big leaves, then you have a pile of leaves, and the three little mice. Well, there's 4 mice, but I'm using 3 of them. And the cute little rake. From the Happy Harvest, I am using one of the crows. I'm using the pumpkins. I did color and die cut a ton of pumpkins from this set. There's 2 sizes, a small and large. The wagon with the pumpkin, and the scarecrow and the sunflowers. So tons and tons of images. Then I'm going to be using the pumpkin house, which this is such a darling die set. And I'm going to be die cutting that from some colored cardstock, but adding some detail with some Copic markers. So of course I'm using oranges, yellows, browns, reds, blues. For the mice, I am using W3, 5, and 7. So it's kind of a brownish gray, I want to say. So I thought that would be cute for all of the mice to kind of bring in a different color instead of just having a bunch of greens, oranges, and browns. I added the blue to the little overalls on the scarecrow because I thought that would add another element of color. When I make this scene, I will be using a blue for the sky, so just to kind of cut down on a lot of green because there is a ton of green. Now I'm also going to be using the Grassy Hills border die and the Stitched Garden borders because we are going to be making a pumpkin patch. I am coloring this cute little crow with some C markers, and you can see I have the caps up there. That way you can see everything that I colored. Now here is that darling pumpkin house die. It is so cute. I'm in love with it. So I'm going to be die cutting that from canned pumpkin. Then I'm using Noble Fir, cilantro, paper bag, and the light brown wood grain to cut all of those images from. And so here on this cute pumpkin house, I'm coming in with some orange Copic markers. I felt like I didn't want to leave this just a cardstock pumpkin. I wanted to add some detail to it the way Copic markers do because all of my images are colored with Copic markers and I felt like it would stand out differently. And so that's why I'm adding some shadows to the pumpkin, a little bit to the stem here, and some of those larger leaves that you die cut from the set. Now here is the Grassy Hills border, and I'm die cutting this from cilantro cardstock. This is going to be a 5x7 card because I knew I had a lot of images that I want on there, so I needed a big card. Here is the Stitched Garden borders. I'm going to die cut that a little bit lower. I'm just kind of quickly laying out my images so I know how much or how far down I need to die cut this piece. So once I know that, I'm just going to tape that in place and run that through my die cut machine. Now we have these 2 layers that we will put together. Here is my white cardstock. This is the 5x7 panel, and I'm coming in with tumbled glass and just adding some ink blending at the top. And I'm actually not making it perfect because I think with this light color, when some of the white cardstock comes through, it almost looks like wispy clouds. I have some foam tape at the bottom of that card panel, and I added the bottom piece that has the Stitched Garden borders, and then I added the Grassy Hills piece of grass to the top. I'm going to start putting this card together, gluing these images together. When you die cut the little pieces for the house, of course, there's a door, you've got a window, so I die cut 2 windows. I die cut that from the light brown wood grain cardstock. And there's 2 pieces. There's the window frame and then like the back piece to the window. I die cut that from white cardstock and just colored it with a yellow Copic marker. Put that behind the 2 windows and the door. Then I'm coming in with all of the fun vines and adding that to this pumpkin. We've had a pumpkin patch before and it is so fun and the vines are gorgeous. So I really wanted to make this feel kind of luscious and with all the leaves and the vines. So I'm going to adhere that down. I just needed to put my scarecrow in place so I could see where my pumpkin needed to go. And now I'm just adding all of those leaves. You can see there I added to the veins some Copic markers just to give that a little bit of detail. So I'm going to glue these down. I am using Lawn Fawn's liquid glue to adhere these in place. And I'm going to make this nice and full at the top of this cute pumpkin house. Then we're going to get the rest of this card put together. I love all these little curlicue vines. I think they add a ton of character to this pumpkin. I'm going to add the little green doorknob, the little brown steps, little stairs, and then I laid everything out, and then I'm coming back in and gluing this down. I'm letting some of my images hang off of the side. You can see those cute little mice from the You Autumn Know, and I have one little mouse sitting on the pumpkin. On the pumpkins in the wagon, I have the other mouse tucked into the little pumpkin patch by the scarecrow. And then of course you have that little mouse right up front that's jumping into the leaves. And I adhered those leaves to where it looks like they're flying in the air. I'm going to trim off all of the excess and now we've got this cute scene. I'm going to add some details with my black glaze pen to the eyes of the scarecrow and the little mice and the crow. And then white gel pen highlights to pretty much all of the images. I did not add it to the largest pumpkin, but I did to the leaves and the other pumpkins, the sunflowers, and I think that makes a huge difference. Now I'm stamping my sentiments from the You Autumn Know stamp set in jet black ink. The first one says You Really Autumn Know, and I'm going to have some foam tape behind that, and that will go on the front of the card panel. And on the inside it says How Much I Love You, and that's going on the inside of my 5x7 card base. I am completely done with this card. I love how it turned out. This is a large scene with tons of fun images. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I will see you soon. Bye.